Have you ever been the subject of malicious gossip? I have. How do we protect ourselves from such a horrible deed? My name is Rabbi Wyne of the Young Israel Aish of Las Vegas, and I want to welcome you to Life is Great, where every Sunday morning we examine a universal value that is derived from Judaism. Good morning. Everybody knows that malicious gossip is a terrible, terrible thing. Intuitively, we know that it's wrong. We know that we shouldn't do it, and we also know that it's very painful when other people speak about us. It actually says in the Torah, "Lo selech rachil b'amecha." Do not go about and be a talebearer amongst your people. Well, we've got to ask ourselves, in a real sense, how do we protect ourselves from such a terrible thing? You know, there's a principle in Judaism that God responds to us the way we treat other people. So for example, if I want people to be generous with me, then I should be generous with them. If I want people to be forgiving about my faults, then I should learn to be more forgiving on them. But if I'm not interested in people forgiving me, or I'm not interested in people being kind to me, so then I can behave perhaps however I wish. But if we want to really examine life, we've got to know that really what comes around goes around. Now, we don't always see the justice in life, but that's many times because we either are not patient enough, the Almighty is extremely patient, or perhaps we are looking for our payment in a different currency. You know, sometimes a person might give some money expecting, hey, the fact that I gave some money to charity means that God is going to bless me with financial abundance. Well, that abundance is coming. It might not come exactly when you want it, and it might not come in the currency. Perhaps that person who gave that charity, perhaps all of a sudden his child will be protected from an incoming tragedy, or perhaps a person will receive a blessing in another area of life. So let's first examine what is so bad about gossip. How often do we speak gossip, and how often are we the victims of malicious gossip? I went out to my favorite coffee bean. I asked some of you what you thought, and then we'll get together again and we'll discuss how we can really protect ourselves from this event.
Okay.
Don, let me ask this question.
Okay.
What do you think is the absolute worst sin a person can commit?
Gosh, probably talking about someone else.
Oh my goodness. Really? Like gossip? Has anyone ever gossiped about you?
Gosh, I really don't know, but you know what, Rabbi? If they are about me, they're giving somebody else a break.
How are they giving someone else a break?
Because they're talking about me and they're not talking about someone else.
Oh, that is beautiful.
But if they're talking about me, hopefully it's in a good way, but at the same time, it's wrong.
Do you ever talk about other people?
I do.
Why?
Because I love them.
Okay,
and it's good things.
Do you ever say bad things about other people?
I hope not.
Okay, good.
But I'm not perfect.
Would it surprise you if I told you that malicious gossip, according to the Torah, is the worst sin? Would that surprise you?
Wow. Yes.
Speaking
because
badly about others.
Your tongue, actually, I bit my tongue. And so I know that the smallest part of my body hurts the worst. Okay. So I'm not surprised.
You're not surprised?
Because that small part of my body can hurt the worst, and it can hurt someone's, really, their heart, and just change who they are.
Paula, tell me, what do you think is the worst sin a person could do?
Worst sin? Steal.
Stealing. Would it surprise you if I told you that speaking malicious gossip is the worst thing a person could do?
Actually, no. That's a pretty good one.
Yeah. Have you ever been a victim of malicious gossip?
Not that I know of.
Oh, you don't know what we're talking about?
No, yeah.
Okay. So,
wait, like, have I been a victim of gossip?
Where they're talking about you?
Not that I know of, but probably.
Okay. I'll let you know. I'll let you know who's talking about who. Tell me something. Do you ever speak badly about others behind their back?
Yes.
Why do you do it?
I don't know. It's just entertaining.
Does it feel good?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes I don't feel good.
All right. Is it okay if something's true and it's bad, can you say that about another person behind their back? Is that okay?
No, I don't think it's okay.
Still not okay? Okay. What do you think is the worst sin a person could possibly do?
Murder.
Murder.
I'd say killing somebody.
I like that one.
Yeah.
Murder?
That's the first thing that popped in my head.
Really?
Murder.
Would it surprise you if I told you that speaking malicious gossip is even worse than murder?
I guess it could lead to somebody's murder.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
It's surprising, but I guess now that you say that, it makes sense.
After you say it. Because
Yeah.
most of us are not going to murder.
Yeah.
But a lot of us, I mean, a lot of those people
Exactly.
will speak malicious
Exactly.
gossip. Do you ever speak badly about other people?
Yeah. I do. Sorry.
I try not to, but
Yeah, I try not to. It's not like I do it all the time, but it happens.
sometimes something slips out or...
Yeah, so when you speak badly about someone, like, why does it happen?
Frustration.
It's like kind of a release?
Yeah.
It feels good to just
to
let
just
it out.
let it out. And
I mean-
it's not like I, speak badly to other people about other people. I might say it out loud by myself.
Okay. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily... I mean, it's just like her. I don't know.
Tell me something. If you know something is true and it's bad about someone else, is it okay to tell other people behind their back?
No. I think that if somebody didn't want something to be known,
Okay.
then it shouldn't be known unless they say it.
If you had a friend who was marrying a guy, but you knew that he was philandering around because that's his nature, would you tell her?
I would.
Yes, I would.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, welcome back. Now you see, everyone seems to be spoken about, and we already established that God treats us the way we treat others. So you might want to stop and say, listen, I want to change the world. I want to make sure that nobody speaks badly about anybody. There's a fantastic tale about a man who was very altruistic. He really said, listen, I want to change the world. So he got out in his 20s and his 30s, and he's out there trying to change the world. He's got his message, and he's speaking to people and sharing it. Nobody's really listening to him at all. Well, finally he's in his 40s and 50s. He says, maybe I'm thinking too big. I should focus on my own country. And then he's up to his 60s and his 70s. He goes, maybe I got to talk about my city because no one's really taking me seriously. Yeah, I got this great message, and no one really seems to care. He's in his 80s. He says, maybe I'll focus on my family because, I have this great message. Nobody's really seems to be paying attention to me. And then in his 90s, he's laying on his deathbed, and he says to himself, maybe it's time I start focusing on myself. And if I change myself, maybe then eventually I can change others. And one of the most difficult things about this idea of gossip, malicious gossip, is you see that many people are spoken of, and it bothers them. But then when we ask others, well, how often do you speak about others? The response is something like, I try not to. I try not to. Well, it's good to try. But ultimately in life, we are judged by not our effort, but we are judged by what we do. The Almighty understands our effort, but other people don't always recognize the power of our effort. So the first stage in understanding what gossip is and learning how to protect ourselves from malicious gossip is actually understanding the different levels of speech. If we know what is proper speech and we know what is forbidden speech, so then we can begin the process of really understanding and protecting ourselves. So we will see there are actually 6 different kinds of speech that the Torah delineates. The first one and the worst one is something called motishamra. Motishamra means bringing out a bad name. That, in essence, is saying something that is not true, that is derogatory about another person. That is the absolute worst kind of speech. A little better than that, but still absolutely terrible, is something called lashon hara. Lashon hara literally means evil tongue. It's saying something that is true, but it is also derogatory. Now, we might think, well, it's true, so of course you can say it, right? Wrong. The fact that it's true just makes it lashon hara and also places it at a very destructive part of our speech. Now, lashon hara, you don't always know whether or not you're saying something derogatory. So, when someone comes to me and says, Rabbi, I'm not really sure if I should say this. It might be lashon hara. I always say, well, tell me what it is, and then I'll tell you if you're not allowed to say it. Okay, so really you have to realize that if I'm saying something and the subject of our discussion, his esteem is lowered in your eyes, that's lashon hara. That's forbidden. And really, that's a good way just to remember what not to say. Just ask yourself before you open your mouth, say, if I say something that will lower the subject matter's esteem in the person's eyes in who I'm speaking to, so then chances are I'm not allowed to say it. The next one is called recoilless. Recoilless is really just talking about other people. Now, technically, it means to be a rachil means you're being a peddler, right? And so that would be, you're having a discussion with Jane. And you say, hey, Jane, do you want to know what Sally said about you? That's the technical definition of recoilless. When I'm telling someone what someone else said about them. Now, if this has ever happened to you, you know how much it gets under your skin. Almost as bad as that, but really gets under your skin, is the fellow who says, well, you know, 3 people told me that there's such and such about you. Really? 3 people? And then you're thinking in your mind, okay, Fred said that, Bob said that, and George said that. And then the person says, okay, listen, you know, the fact that Robert told me, and you're saying, oh, Robert's talking about me too? Oh my goodness. You know, it really, you can imagine how this really can mushroom into just such an incredibly painful, destructive way. So recoilless, just gossip, just talking about other people. That also is a forbidden action. The next level of speech, which is already not as bad, is something that I call NSW. NSW is news, sports, and weather. You're not really talking about anything. You're just talking about, hey, how's the game? How'd you like it? How's the weather? Oh, it's a scorcher today. Whatever you're just talking about nothing. Now, again, our power of speech is a godly gift. It's there for us to elevate the world. So if we're talking about NSW, news, sports, weather, that's really not the way to use our power of speech, but at least it's not very destructive. Now we get to the positive use of speech. The first one's called divrei mitzvah. Divrei mitzvah, the words of a mitzvah, means that I'm talking about doing something good with my life or doing something good to help others. It's the discussion of it. I'm not really doing the mitzvah. I'm not talking about, I'm not giving charity. I'm talking about giving charity. I'm not creating a dinner or an event to bring people closer together so we can have relationships. Or, you know, I'm talking about, hey, you know, I know this single person, I know a single girl, and you know a single guy, and maybe they'll make a good match with each other. Well, I'm not really doing the mitzvah. I'm not performing the good deed, performing the commandment, but I'm talking about it. That's very positive. But the best use of our speech is something called divrei Torah, speaking words of Torah. And this is when we take our revealed divine wisdom and use it to help benefit our lives and benefit the lives of others. What we're doing right now is divrei Torah. The way we are using our speech right now, I'm sharing these concepts with you, you're talking about it with other people, that is the highest form of speech, because it is through this process that we actually end up creating better people for ourselves and making the world a much, much better place. So you see, the first step of perfection, the first step of raising the world is at least paying attention to what are we talking about? What kind of speech are we talking about right now? And I'll tell you, I have sat at my own dinner table before and thought to myself, I know there's somebody in the room here that wants to hear a word of Torah. And we might have been talking about news, sports, weather, but then you ask yourself, wait a second, what can I do to elevate the level of conversation? That's really where we want to get to. The Talmud says that when people speak lashon hara, malicious gossip, there are 3 people who are killed. There's the speaker, the listener, and the subject. Now, we don't need to be rocket scientists to understand that if we're speaking badly about another person, they could lose their job, they can be hurt financially, their relationships could be hurt. Imagine going to the water cooler at the office and hearing that somebody was telling a story about your wife. Ooh, how enraged would you get at such a thing? Many people's relationships have been broken up because of just people are talking. So 3 people are murdered at that time. That's no good. We don't want to be part of that. So let's continuously ask ourselves, how can I elevate the level of speech that's going on? See, if God is judging us the way we treat others, then what we really want to do is we want to elevate everyone around me. We want to make it socially unacceptable to speak about others. Not just to speak badly about others, but to speak about others. And if we make it socially unacceptable, if everyone looks at us and says, that's an individual, he just doesn't talk about other people unless it's absolutely necessary for something that is purposeful in a positive way. So then, and he doesn't listen to other people's gossip, then they won't speak gossip around us. And that is the first stage to divine protection. Now, don't go away. My name is Rabbi Wyne, and you're listening to Life is Great. And we'll be back in a moment with just a clear explanation in terms of what we can do to benefit the world and benefit ourselves by using the positive power of speech.
So we walk around with a piece of paper in each pocket. This one says, "The world was created for me," and this says, "I am but dust." Life is Great, the TV show, was created for you. The Rabbi Show, the radio show, was created for you. It's great stuff. Just this morning, I went on www.therabbishow.com and I made a donation. It's so easy. You get right into PayPal, you put in your credit card information, it's a secure site that you trust. Takes under a minute. Please join me in supporting this great programming that makes the world better.
Okay, you know, the power of our words is so impactful. If we say something negative, it's extremely harmful. If we say something positive, it's absolutely beautiful. You know, I share in my book a story, Life is Great, Revealing the 7 Secrets to a More Joyful You. I share a story of how when I was a young boy, my mother came to me. I was scared. It was the first time I was going away to sleepaway camp. And I walked out and I said, you know, Mom. She saw I was a little nervous and she goes, "Yitz, you have nothing to worry about. Everybody who meets you absolutely loves you." From that moment on, I really believe that everybody who meets me loves me. As a matter of fact, it's very, very difficult for me to think contrary. You got to be really mean to me for me to think that you don't like me. But you know, the Talmud tells us that there are 3 sins that are absolutely horrible. There's murder, idolatry, and adultery. And there's one thing that is worse than all of those, and that is speaking lashon hara. Speaking badly about others, malicious gossip, is more destructive than all of these other horrible sins. Why is that? So there's this great story told about a man who spoke badly about a rabbi. And I'm telling you, never, ever speak badly about anybody, but especially never speak badly about a rabbi. So what happens is he was overcome with a sense of guilt and remorse, goes to the rabbi and says, "Rebbe, this is what I said about you publicly. This is who I said it to. Please, I'm sorry, would you forgive me?" So the rabbi said, "Well, before we talk about forgiveness, I'd like you to take the biggest feather pillow you have and go to the tallest building in the city, right? Climb to the top of the stratosphere, right? Go to the Encore, rip it open, and then shake that pillow till all the feathers are out. And then come back to me and bring me the sack." The man doesn't really know what the rabbi's up to, so he goes up to the top of the building, rips open the pillow, shakes it, comes back with an empty sack. Then the rabbi says, "Okay, now, before I forgive you, I'd like you to go collect all of those feathers, put them back in that pillow." The man says, "Oh, Rebbe, you know that's impossible." And then the rabbi says, "Just like it's impossible for you to gather all the feathers and put it back into that sack, so too it is impossible for you to go out and collect all the pieces of information that caused me harm and bring them back." Wow. Realize that when we speak badly about other people, that message goes out and we're never able to get it back. And for that reason, the Talmud considers speaking malicious gossip as the worst possible sin. Now, don't go away. We're going to come back with the Rabbis Inbox. And I'm actually going to share with you how we can behave, how we can deal with the fact that some people do speak negatively about us and our proper attitudes in dealing with that. And also, I want to share with you a couple of insights, a couple of exceptions to this blanket rule. Do you know someone who needs a little more happiness in their life? Maybe it's you who needs more happiness in your life. Yes, you've seen the Life is Great TV show. You perhaps have heard the Rabbi Show. But now it's time to get Life is Great, Revealing the 7 Secrets to a More Joyful You. This book was something tangible that you can give your friends and family, where they can keep by their bedside, take it on vacation, leaf through it page at a time or chunk of pages at a time, and each time they will learn another secret, another tool that they can use in order to get the absolute most out of life. What better present can you give your friends and family than the wisdom to live a better life? Welcome back. This is a segment we call the Rabbis Inbox, and this is your opportunity to send me a message. You can send it to rabbi@therabbishow.com. I promise you I will respond to your questions, and if it's an issue that I think that other people will be interested in as well, then I might even read it on the air in the radio show or right here at Life is Great. Let's get straight to our questions. Dear Rabbi, I've done some things that were really, really wrong. My wife and I became the talk of my office, our church, and our community. How do I comfort my wife from the pain and anger she is feeling in knowing that people are speaking badly about us? Okay, there are 2 points we have to recognize over here. First one is the fact that people are talking about you means that you are significant in their life. So you turn to your wife and say, honey, listen, what we did, it was wrong. It's between us. We will work it out. The fact that other people are speaking about us means that we are important to them. Remarkable idea. There's several ways to be important. There is a story of a rabbi who was elderly. He had one daughter. He married the daughter off to an up-and-coming young rabbi, and in a very short period of time, he gave the young rabbi all of the communal responsibilities. He was teaching the classes, supervising the butcher, supervising marriages and divorces, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, the young man says to his father-in-law, he says, Dad, listen, I'm kind of doing all the rabbi stuff. Maybe it's time that you become the rabbi emeritus. You're the retired rabbi, and I will go from being the assistant to being the rabbi of the town. So the father said, Sonny boy, here, do me a favor first. Dress up in a disguise. Go out to the marketplace and listen to what people are talking about. And come back, we'll have a discussion. He picks up. Son goes out. He's in disguise. No one recognizes him. Comes back to speak to his father-in-law. He says, well, Sonny boy, tell me, were the people talking about others? He says, yeah, people were talking a lot of gossip. He goes, who are they talking about? He goes, well, Dad, I hate to say this, but they're actually talking about you. So the elderly gentleman says, that's how you know I'm still the rabbi. If people are talking about you, that means you're front and center of their mind. Now, knowing that you are so significant in the eyes of others, that might not totally comfort your wife, but this next point will definitely comfort her. We have a Kabbalistic principle. It's the mitzvah aveira, the good commandment and sin exchange that goes on when people talk about others. When someone speaks badly about another person, in heaven, the subject matter gets all of their sins and they get transferred over to the one who's speaking badly about them. And the one who's speaking badly, all of the good things that they did, that gets transferred over to the person who they were speaking badly about. You get this? So if I go out and I speak badly about you, in heaven, you get all the good things that I've done, you get all my mitzvahs, and I get all of your sins. At the end of our lives, we go up to heaven. And I'll find out, hey, listen, I was a gambler, I was a drinker, I was whatever I was. I'll say, God, I didn't do any of those things. And he'll say, you might not have done them, but you spoke badly about the person who did do them, and therefore you acquired all of that. And I'll say, wait a second, God, what about all the Torah I've learned? What about the people I've helped? What about the charity I've given? The Almighty will say, oh, all those commandments, all those mitzvahs, they went to the person you were speaking badly about. That's going to comfort your wife. Because to know that all those bad things you did do, you know what? They're no longer yours. Other people spoke badly about you. They have them now. Whatever good things they did, you got them now. You'll be just fine. Don't worry about it. And I'll even tell you on a personal level, being a rabbi, sometimes people speak badly about me. But I know that that is because I live a significant life. And when they do speak badly about me, I look forward to acquiring all of the good things that those other people have done. And I feel pretty good about the fact I get rid of some of my mistakes as well. Okay? So let's go to the second question. Dear Rabbi, is there ever a time that it's proper to speak negatively about other people? Remarkably, yes, there is a time. If you are saying words of to'elis means there's positive, relevant importance. Not only can you say it, sometimes you must say it. The two examples that are given in Jewish law are, if you know somebody is going into business with another person and you know that person is a thief, you are obligated to share that information with the prospective business partner. And if you know someone might marry another person, well, it's also a partnership. You know the other person has certain qualities that are completely unacceptable. Then you're obligated to share that with the prospective bride or groom. And the reason for this is because you're actually going to be cutting down on future heartbreak. Now, I might know all sorts of bad stuff about a businessman or about a prospective husband or wife, but if I don't know anybody who's doing business or going into business with them or going to marry them, I have no business saying anything, and I have to zip my lip, even if it's true, because it's not relevant to the people that are coming into their world. Thank you so much for being a part of today's program. I'm Rabbi Wyne. You've been part of the Life is Great program, and I want to bless you that the Almighty should give you special discipline not to speak anything badly about another person, not to even talk badly about other people in any form, and the Almighty should give you a special divine protection that nobody should speak badly about you.
Want more wine? Turn your radio to AM 720 KDWN or go online to therabbishow.com to hear The Rabbi Show starting right after the news at 9 a.m.
Join Rabbi Wyne and friends on December 12th, 2013 at 7 p.m. at Palms Place in the 57th floor penthouse. When Dee and Dr. Adam Millman host the 5th annual year-end cocktail party benefiting Young Israel Aish Las Vegas. Call 702-360-8909 to RSVP today, or go to www.youngisraelishlv.com.
Thank you so much for joining me today in Life is Great. You know, there are so many people that are benefiting from this television program, from the Rabbi Show radio program, our YouTube broadcasts, and reading my book, Life is Great. I want to thank all of you, and I want you to know that the only way we can continue to distribute and to do these programs are through your generous contributions to therabbishow.com. So I'd like to encourage you today to go to therabbishow.com and make some kind of donation. Everything is appreciated in order to help us continue to spread these positive values and enrich and enhance other people's lives. Thank you.